Hey guys, Oscar here with my top 10 PS4 downloadable games. Let's get this started. Let's kick it off with Broken Age from Tim Schafer. If you know this guy, then you may know about Monkey Island. Some of you younger guys might not have heard that game. It was a very, very big story game that came out a long time ago on some of the PCs, early PCs. And Schafer's got this brilliant reputation for being a great comedic writer. And this game is a point-and-click adventure, but it has this lovely art style to it. Some very rich characters. You can choose from one or two directions on the story. There's a guy and a girl living very separate lives, but it's beautiful. It's very intriguing. It's a great journey. There's some hilarious characters in it. That's what Schafer does really well, is actually come up with some really good characters and some really good dialogue. It's just so much fun. It's such a great journey. It's a real refreshing change to some of the stuff that's going around, and of course it's on the PSN network. I think the first episode was available free.
Now sir, I don't just serve food. I also serve up nutrition facts and eating encouragement. For instance, that last spoonful was exactly 7.1 calories.
In at number 9, it's a game from Supergiant by the name of Bastion. Very cheap on the PlayStation Network, a little bit older, but really, really worth a look.
He gets up, sets off for the Bastion, where everyone agreed to go in case of trouble.
Bastion's a very quirky hack-and-slash asymmetric shooter. I love the way the ground comes up underneath you. That commentator is awesome. He talks about what's actually happening in the game at the time. The game couples melee and range attack, and there's quite a lot of depth in regards to upgrades and different weapon types that you can execute. There's a shield that gives you the ability to counter, and I never really tired of the game's art style, and the music really, really stood out. It's got a very slick production level. The enemy types are really cool. The boss fights are really cool. It was a game that I had an absolute a huge amount of joy finishing. Number 9, Bastion. In at number 8, and it's the crazy Galaxy. This game was free on the PSN network. I had my eye on it for a long, long time. It's got this great sort of 16-bit thing going on, and it's a really complicated game in regards to trajectory and propulsion. I thought it was just like a twin stick, but it's not, and it's bloody hard actually. There's permadeath in the game. There's some really awesome weapon upgrades in the game, but it's a toughie. But I love that about it. It's got this great arcade feel to it. You can actually switch and change into a robot, grab hold of the enemies and slam them into walls, etc. It never really gets boring, but of course beware, it's very, very difficult. Extra kudos points for these guys for having an awesome VHS pause screen. Number 8, Galaxy. Yes, we all love him, it's Super Meat Boy. What a brilliant game these guys came up with here. From the makers of The Blinding of Isaac, the quality always shows in what they put together. I mean, it's like Mario on steroids meets, you know, Dark Souls 3 style difficulty. It sort of lulls you into a false sense of security and says, yeah, jump about a bit, you know, rescue a woman, and then before you know it, 2 hours have gone past, your eyes are bloodshot, and you're dying constantly, but you are not going to get beaten. So it's a brilliant idea of replaying all the failures that you do on the game, and I keep going back to it. I've introduced it to a few friends. It's actually quite a funny game to sit down with a few of you actually, and yeah, the bosses are just so funny. The cutscenes are so funny. It's very close to my heart, Super Meat Boy. I love the story behind it as well. You might watch Indie Game, the documentary, because these guys really tried damn hard to get this thing done, and it turned out really well. So congratulations, guys. Super Meat Boy, number 7. Quick change of pace. In at number 6, it's Ubisoft's charming and beautiful Child of Light. Don't be fooled by this game's cuddly visuals and exterior. Deep down, it's a rock-hard RPG, and in actual fact, it borrows from the JRPG format, just like Final Fantasy or any other turn-based game or Fire Emblem. It's got a really cool sort of party mode and spell casting or melee attack options when it comes to the combat scenes. You travel around the land and come across various foes, and you get in these combat arenas with them, and it's very tense. You do have party members. Sometimes they come, sometimes they go. But you have this really cool setup with the cast bar, you can see at the bottom of the screen there, so always kind of real time rolling forward. there's quite a lot of depth in regards to the upgrades and the upgrade tree itself. Leveling up is really cool, it's really interesting, new abilities are everywhere. So yeah, I wanted to include this one on the list. You may not have got to play it, you may have just seen visuals of it and thought, nah, that's not my cup of tea, but go for it. It's such a joy. The music is so uplifting, it peaks and dips. Child of Light, a well-deserved number 6. Yeah, come on guys, no respecting list would not have this on it. Number 5, Broforce, what a true classic. It really does appeal to my generation, I think, what with the 80s superhero / crazy stars that are involved in it, to the actual retro platform gaming style of the game itself. It's so much fun online, it's so much fun single player. I actually do love its difficulty as well. It's a very, very tough game. It sort of looks back to the old Barnet Commando setup where you're platforming around, you're jumping up and down ladders and getting on these ropes here. It's a joy to actually watch and play, and I love the fact that some retro styles are coming back now. It's a really good idea. Broforce is really at the pinnacle for this for me, and again, it was featured free on the PSN network. I know I keep saying that, but it just makes you feel happy to have a PlayStation 4, to be honest with you. Really, really looking forward to more from these guys. Broforce. In at number 4, and it's a game I actually failed to capture any footage of, and I can only apologise profusely for that, guys, but it's Hotline Miami. Came out on the PC a long time ago, and we got it on the PSN network recently. It's a must-see game on 2 levels. Again, a bit like Broforce. It's going back to that retro area, that retro style, but it's got this soundtrack to it that I hands down still listen to today. It's one of the best official soundtracks for a game I've ever heard, and of course it's really, really difficult, but it's got this beautiful 80s neon Miami vibe to it. The sequel is available at the moment. The original Hotline Miami is actually on the PSN for a very few amount of dollars. So if you get time, please look into this game, and of course if you do anything, look at the soundtrack. Thoroughly recommended. Hotline Miami. I don't think it needs any introductions, does it? I mean, it's one of the best sports games on the PlayStation 4, the absolutely phenomenal Rocket League, and wow, what a brilliant game this was, and how well we were looked after. Yeah, it had some server issues earlier, but I mean, to get it for free and to enjoy all that content, I have no qualms in purchasing DLC for a developer that does that for you, hands you a game and says, look, you know, if you want to add to it, you can. It transcends the barrier between sports and arcade, you know, and I've said this before, I'm not a big fan of sports games, never really have been, but for some reason Rocket League seems to give me that angle that I can access it through. It's a fantastic way to sit down with mates. It's a brilliant esport online. I mean, I just keep going back to it. They've put the new stuff in with the hoops, with the high gravity ball, with the snow, etc. Brilliant game, Rocket League. A well-deserved place on the list at number 3, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys down there. Hopefully I'll smash one past you. In number 2, of course, it's Resogun, one of the older PSN downloadable games, but one that I feel is still really strong today. It's got some fantastic graphics, the particle physics in it are beautiful, it's got a nice neon, loud soundtrack, and of course it borrows heavily from the game Defender with a retro style.
Extra life. Phase complete.
This game has the ability to put me into a trance-like state. Not only do I love playing it, but I love it being played in front of me. There's a 2-player online co-op mode which you should try out if you haven't. It's a hell of a lot of fun. There's online leaderboards. I mean, it's back to high scores. You know, I love trying to get a high score in a 1-player game and seeing what your mates can do with it. There's all kinds of power-ups and different bombs and controls, and of course you've got some fantastic boss fights. Okay guys, it's time for number 1, and it is Transistor.
Hey, Red. We're not gonna get away with this, are we? Come on, pull. There.
I don't know what to like most about this game, whether it's its outstanding soundtrack, whether it's its beautifully fluid combat mechanics, whether it's the art style that sweeps you into this amazing world, whether it's the narrator or the dialogue or the upgrade system, it just is a very powerful game for me. I love just immersing myself in it. It really is something I wanted to talk about, and well deserves number one.
I'm so sorry, Red. They took your voice. I couldn't stop them. Well, we took something of theirs. Hey, let's just go. Come on, just go.
The beauty of this game is absolutely mind-blowing. If it's not the cutscenes, it's the incredible amount of detail they've put into the enemy types and their attack patterns. It's also got one of the coolest combat mechanics. It's a bit like XCOM, where you have an HP meter and you have to spend your moves within a time limit. The upgrade system also offers a lot of detail, where you can blend various power-ups together to create a brand new power-up, and you can jostle this at any point in the game that you want. There's challenge modes, there's a large map, and yeah, I mean, it's from the same guys that did Bastion, and if you haven't got to this game yet, I really thoroughly recommend you do. A bit like Hotline Miami, I'm still banging to the tunes on this game. It really rocked my world, you know. I sat down with it, and 2, 3, 4 hours went by and I just didn't want to get away from it. Absolutely fantastic game, well deserves number one. And guys, thank you so much for listening. Honorary mentions, Journey should be on this list, I know it should be on this list, and of course Ollie Ollie, the first and second game. Andreas, I'm sorry I didn't include it. Take care guys.